Or what about when they're having that meeting where they're all discussing what they're going to do? And then there's like, what do you think, Thor? Is he asleep?
Is he asleep? Yeah,
that's right.
Because I mean, what were you guys expecting when we were going?
I don't know because when they
you
had
know
the
everybody
heist,
being dead.
I was expecting 3 hours of Brie Larson. I'm not going to lie. Like,
I had that anticipation too.
Dude, me too.
Cap versus Cap. Did you guys like that? Cap versus Cap moment.
we saw future Bruce Banner
I like the fact
throwing
that
a
Cap
tantrum.
knew himself well enough that he wasn't even going to try to explain the fact that I'm from the future or I'm a different part of you. I'm just going to try to box this one out of you.
I just like how he's like, we've got Loki, and he just automatically assumed it was Loki. But it's just like, he could be like, would you believe me if I said I was from the future? And there's like, no way he would have.
I
like,
love
nice try, Loki.
Dude, I love the Hail Hydra.
They just give him the briefcase.
Well, and that was also another fantastic callback of just, from Winter Soldier, when he's sitting in the elevator with all those guys.
Dude,
I honestly thought he was going to be like, I thought he was just going to do the word for word thing where it's just like,
right?
If anybody wants to get out, now's your chance.
I was waiting for that too.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
So it's like, wouldn't Captain America be like, what the f***? I just saw someone, I just fought my own self. I mean, I don't know.
There's a shapeshifter in the house.
Okay,
They're all thinking it's Loki.
Okay.
They all think it's Loki.
But that was fun to see.
It was fun to see, but it was a little kooky because I'm pretty sure Captain America, if he was fighting himself as Captain America, he'd know, like, hey.
Well, he started to question whenever he saw the picture follow.
But that's when he immediately took the scepter, took the advantage just to say, F this, I have something to do.
Exactly. I can't explain all this.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool.
Wouldn't that be bizarre, fighting yourself?
Just to back it up just a little bit before they jump into this whole thing. I mean, it was really nice to see, them play off the old school timelines of all these different movies, using Paul Rudd and freaking Ant-Man's character as just like, oh, what do you mean, like Back to the Future? Oh, you mean like Terminator?
You mean like Die Hard? Wait, no, not that one.
That was actually
it was such a clever way of just being able to like approach all the different ways that people in the past have done timeline stories, and the fact that they're actually going into the quantum realm and it's not necessarily time, but it is at the same time.
And that's why
fantastic. And then actually to pull this whole franchise back in on itself by revisiting those freaking old time frames that got set up with the original Avengers movie.
That's one thing
that was so great. I was not expecting that of this movie.
And that's one thing Marvel has always done really well is they can do sendbacks really well. Like when present Captain America took on past Captain America. Past Captain America stands up, he's like, I can do this all day. He's like, I know. Nebula, like, it shows how different she is, and it shows how different Captain America is between then and then, and how.
Well, and that was a great twist too, of Nebula actually being whatever mainframe she's wired into, that her past self is linked up with her future self.
Dude, right? I thought of it as Wi-Fi. It's like Wi-Fi. She got on their Wi-Fi network, was immediately uplinked to the cloud.
Right.
All of her footage was immediately available.
All of her nudes.
Yeah, was immediately available to the other Nebula. It's immediately streaming, and they're like, what is this? Like...
That is great. I mean, that is some great storytelling right there.
Yeah,
I mean that was another unexpected moment that I'm like, you know that this is kind of going to go to the realm of parallel universe. You kind of know it's going to go the way of time, weirdness,
right?
Time machine or otherwise. Because I mean, what were you guys expecting when we were going?
I don't know because when they had the
everybody
heist,
being dead.
I was expecting 3 hours of Brie Larson. I'm not going to lie. Like.
I had that anticipation too.
Dude, me too.
I'm
almost glad that she wasn't in there that much.
Like, and the only reason it was that is because, like, all these other characters, they had multiple movies. Like, I was expecting her to continue building onto her character, but she was, like, barely there.
She was there just
Which
to
I was grateful for. I was glad that she wasn't in it, man.
It was a little
this
weird.
was the ending. This was the last time. This was the last time we were going to see Captain.
All these guys.
We're going to see.
They should have.
It's like they need their screen. They're going to be done in a second. Cap.
Right?
She's going to be leading the MCU for the next 8 years, and we're going to see nothing but her.
Of screen time.
So why not put Carrie Fisher in there and Mark Hamill and freaking Harrison Ford and let them do their thing until. It's just. And I thought it was so great for the callbacks that they did, but they focused on the main characters.
How about how everyone lost someone and you actually felt, like, I understand your pain. Like, even like Captain Marvel, she lost
Fury,
and probably the cat.
I didn't.
Not gonna lie.
And I love how you have to think about it. You're like, Fury.
No, but that's great that they didn't focus on her as much because as powerful as a character as she was, she did pretty well. But it was a letdown in that sense of like Vision was a letdown because he's like so ultra powerful that there's no way they could kind of demonstrate that. Scarlet Witch even too. I mean, she's freaking mega powerful.
I loved seeing her fight Thanos, but we're gonna get to that in a second. So Hulk and the Ancient One. This was actually a really cool, interesting point. We talked about this earlier. We haven't talked about this situation on camera yet. This was very interesting because she pops Bruce right out of himself. She pops Bruce right out, and they become two separate entities. So that was actually really interesting. It was great.
It's kind of like when they had the whole arc in the comic where they separated for a bit. And the thing that I always hate is like the plot points getting just like shoved forward almost violently. Like they always do this where it's like in a movie they'll be like, oh well, I'm gonna just have this overly convoluted explanation that you're gonna have to reiterate and explain back to me, even though we would not be normally having this conversation if this was a real situation. But like him talking to her, it's like him trying to plead his case to her rather than trying to move the plot forward. Like, because she's like, I'm not going to give you the time stone just so you can go and crap all over the timeline and screw up my existence. And he's like, well, if we do this, and he like brings it back and fixes it, and she's like,
he's trying to get over the obstacle.
So you didn't
like,
so you didn't like that scene at all?
No,
I liked the way they did it.
He did. It wasn't scripted. He was naturally trying to overcome the obstacle, and it's naturally moving.
Yeah.
Right when he thought he could actually force himself.
And then he had to get around it with his mind, which Banner was known for his mind. So.
Yeah. It's like that. I call it the T-16 plot point, like how it's just like, no one could. That's like 2 meters. No one can hit that. And he's like, well, I used to bullseye womp rats back home in my T-16, and it's just like this guy doesn't know what a womp rat is. Probably, no one's gonna sit there and say that overly convoluted sentence in that kind of situation.
Like, sure they do. Everybody knows what a womp rat is.
And a T-16. Well, you get like a set of headphones. You shoot lasers out of your headphones.
I was thinking like T-16, like a Terminator. Like he's like riding on Arnold Schwarzenegger's back.
I just remembered her having some really cool, interesting things she said. Like, talking about the infinity flow of time, I loved the display that they had there with this infinite
it's like a thread.
This infinite thread that she had painted for it, showing this is what's going on, and the Infinity Stones hold it all together, and this is about the time.
Well, I like how it explained how she's like, the Infinity Stones, there aren't multiple sets, it's one set for the time.
Right. Oh, okay. I had forgotten about that.
You know what that reminds me of is if you guys have ever gotten into the Stephen King Dark Tower series. That's very much.
I need to read
like
those. I haven't read them.
See, I didn't bother with the books. I just watched the movie.
Yeah, me too.
So you didn't bother at all, pretty much.
I'm just kidding. Like I just know you. I just know how you feel about the movie. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a movie. That's about all it is. It's called The Dark Tower.
That's about it.
That's about it.
Although there was,
but
it
was great. It was great because
it
used the Infinity Stones in that particular sense of they're not just powerful stones within the reality, but they are part of reality and the existence.
They're not a reset button.
Right.
Like
and Strange, and that was the big reveal. Strange gave them all away. So obviously she saw some insight in him. She knew that he was going to be an important part in her life and everyone's life. And so for her to say like, oh, he, that he had given him away. Okay, that she was like willing to submit at that point, which is very interesting. Like imagine having that kind of capability of just like being able to see past and future and present and all those things, and being able to kind of make judgments in accordance with those things.
The dark realm where that symbol of Dormammu would have popped up in her head at that particular moment, because she was dipping into that to actually see into the past and the future and to prolong her life.
Yeah.
Well, the way I heard that explained was I forgot the bad guy's name from Doctor Strange.
Dormammu. Or
no, the other guy. Yeah.
The guy that was I heard it like this. He was just like bumping huge fat rails of Dormammu's power, and she was just like taking it and like rubbing it on her gums. So it's a little different.
Good analogy. Good analogy.
I don't remember where I heard that, but that analogy just kind of stuck with me, and I'm just like,
like coke on the gums, cocaine, a little bit of cocaine and all that stuff.
Just so you know, perk you up through a business meeting. It's not to keep you up for days on end. She just needs to make it through lunch.
So it's all the way to that tuna melt. Mm-hmm. So my favorite character in this, and you guys all know, because I can't stop talking. Peggy Carter's a biatch, dude. And don't get me going on her, but she's a bitch. Anyway, but I actually loved Nebula. I loved her involvement in the story. I loved how there's two sides of her. I loved she's basically kind of like Two-Face. I relate kind of her experience and what she has. She's the links that she has and the Two-Face had in the Dark Knight, and how much impact he made. That's kind of what she was in this movie. She was this crazy entity that it was had no idea how much of an influence or how much of an impact she would make until this just random thing happens, and it's just this random skewing moment that just pillar out of her eyeball, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. She has this interstellar network that she taps into, and all of a sudden we're realizing that it's being breached. And so that in and of itself it's just, I thought, was really, really cool.
Yeah.
The
that's
thing
another,
I liked,
another good twist.
I liked because
it threw me off, and it surprised me. It was just like, holy, this is how they're going to propel her into this role. And